All right. I was trying to get myself organized. This is my first Q&A via Zoom. I'm just, putting that out there for everybody. So I appreciate your um, patience with that. I'm going to actually close my email because I keep getting that dinging. Hopefully it will stop. Okay. Thank you so much. I know this is very short and fast and everything's moving very fast. It kind of is the nature of the situation we've been in since March. And we are grateful for those of you who actually gave me, I'm grateful to those of you who sent me emails ahead of time. I'm going to try to go through them all. And if other questions come up, we'll offer an opportunity to do that at the end. So I'm going to get started. And sorry, I opened the wrong screen. Nina, I'm going to ask if, because I'm going to be reading off of a screen, I might not be able to see the faces. If you see somebody that wants to share something or has a quick question about that question, can you just chime in and let me know so that I'm aware of it? Does that make sense?
I can, but I think it might actually be more effective if people can chat to Kelsey. And
oh, okay.
And then, so if anybody has a comment or question midway, if you could just find Kelsey in the chat box and send her the question, and Michelle will do her best to respond.
Okay. So the first question was, are there options for communicating an anticipated part-time schedule for returning for the school year? If children were enrolled full-time prior to closure and families respond with a part-time schedule, attending fewer days per week and or attending one of the 2 weeks. Okay, so the answer to that is whatever your schedule was prior to COVID is the same schedule that we will be following once we reopen. You're welcome to come less days, but you're still financially responsible for paying before March 13th. Can you share, next question is, can you share which teachers will be with each group if they're different prior to school closure, and anticipated number of students that will be attending? Okay, so the first part of that question is, when we return on June 5th, the goal is for all of our staff to be present. The amount of students that will be there, we are unsure of yet. As of yet, as you know, we've been asking for that information from all of you, and those of you who commented or responded, we appreciate that. So as far as the class sizes also, and it's not really part of this question, but it is a question from in another one, our class sizes will be kept on the smaller side. The guidance from the city and from the CDC is that you cannot have more than 22 people in a classroom, and that includes adults. I do not foresee us getting anywhere near that size, especially in the beginning stages, but that is what the guidance is that we would be following. Is registration still open for Camp Keshet? If so, is there a date by which we need to register? Registration is still open for Camp Keshet, and you can register whenever you want to. I'm sure there will be space, and I'm assuming there'll be space, but you can register when it is convenient for you. Next question. How might our decisions regarding attendance for the last 2 weeks of the school year, as well as Camp Keshet, impact teacher and staff positions, including any changes to the number of teacher positions? Can you please share information regarding how these decisions will be made? As I mentioned, the first 2 weeks, all staff are reporting back. They're all we've all guaranteed them salaries through June 30th, and which we are all very grateful for. They will all be there in some way, shape, or form. And with regards to Camp Keshet, staffing will depend on the amount of enrollment that we have. And how we figure that out is, I've done surveys with staff to see who's interested in working over the summer. Some people want a different type of schedule in the summer. Some don't want to work at all. So it's a bit of a equation that I put together, and it's in process. Next question. What happens if most children in my child's class do not return? Will my child be in the same classroom? Could she have a new teacher? Will new children join her class? As long as your teacher is coming back on June 5th, they will be with your child. Depending on the number of children, there may be very small groups of children or a combination of classes with the staff. Again, we are following all guidelines that were given, but if we have a classroom where there might be 1 or 2 children that are present out of a total of 14, we might combine it with another class with the same age group. But they would stay with that group for the remaining, for those 2 full weeks of school. We will not be interchanging children throughout the day or throughout the weeks. What happens if we are not comfortable with the way ECP handles the situation? Is there an ability to cancel with notice, possibly a month per se? And our policy is the same as it always is. If you choose to withdraw from ECP, you're still responsible for the remaining tuition that's part of that school year or part of the camp. Let's see, next question is, what happens if a child or teacher gets COVID? This is a big one. Will you close, and for how long? I'm going to read you specifically the guidelines that come from the Philadelphia Department of Health. And these guidelines, I mean, again, we follow these guidelines. We're following everything that we have to. This is what is said. We are to call the Philadelphia Department of Public Health for any instructions. But also, all children and staff in the same classroom or who have come in close contact with is defined as greater than 10 minutes of interaction, less than 6 feet away. So I'll say that again. All children and staff in the same classroom with a teacher or child who was diagnosed with COVID or was within close contact must quarantine at home for 14 days. Anyone who develops symptoms during that time should contact their healthcare provider to request testing. In accordance with the Philadelphia Department of Health guidance, the COVID positive individual should remain home until all of the following are true. And you will receive this in writing as well, just so you know. At least 10 days since the okay, let me start over. The COVID positive individual should remain home until at least 10 days since the onset of symptoms and until fever-free off of anti-fever medications for 3 days and the symptoms are improving. The COVID-19 positive individual does not need a repeat COVID test or a doctor's note in order to return to the center. Now, please note that it does not say that we close the entire school if there is a case of COVID. It is just quarantining that classroom or the students and staff that have been in close contact with them. Okay, the next question is, we are worried about the last minute nature of these communications. Most parents are in a tough situation, so being asked to submit questions in advance for a Q&A within 2 hours is very difficult. The same with being given under 48 hours to make what feels like a very big decision without all the information. Is this a sign of how the ECP will handle the situation going forward, or do you anticipate being able to give parents more time and information? I know, like I said in the beginning, it's coming at us fast. It came at us fast in March. It's been a lot of learning. It's been a lot of new territory that we're learning about. Our goal is to provide you with information as soon as we have it available. It's a quick turnaround time for us as well. We're getting the information. We need to turn it around fast. I would imagine that many of you, including myself, have been thinking during the last several weeks, like, what will happen when we go back? What is that going to look like for me as a parent? What is that going to look like for me as an employee? And we're giving all the options that we can to you. The reason we are opening on June 5th as opposed to not opening later is because there are many families that need to go back to work as soon as Philadelphia goes into the yellow. We need to provide our services. That is what we're here for. And if you're not comfortable coming back that soon, obviously that is your option, that is your choice. But we have to make ourselves available to those that definitely need our services so that they can go back to work. So we do pride ourselves on, communicating with you as much as we can and being as transparent as we can with everything. It's been very hard with the situation, given the newness of it and the uncertainties and waking up one day and finding out something new. This is the information we're given today, and this is what I've been telling my staff. I can only share with you what I know, and that's what I will do. So I think the next question I just answered. How can we be confident that teachers and other parents aren't exposing themselves and then their children outside of school? It seems as though the health checklist, while wonderful, couldn't prevent the virus from spreading if someone isn't showing symptoms yet. Right? We have no way of guaranteeing that everyone is 100% healthy in any type of situation, whether it's COVID or whatever it is. So the daily screening that we'll be using, again, is from the Philadelphia Department of Health. And we ask you to be honest. We ask you to think about it every morning when you're filling it out for your child. And if there's any risk whatsoever, if you're sending your child, then don't send them. Remember that the virus spreads through the air, through sneezing and coughing. All staff are required to wear masks with the children. Children, if they want to wear masks above the age of 2, they're welcome to. I know that some of you have asked me about that. That is totally up to you. They're not required to, however. So we can only go by the information we're given. Let's see. Who will be taking the children in and out of the building? Will it be a familiar face, as in their teacher? So the way we are planning to set up drop-off in the morning is the teachers will be waiting in their classrooms to greet the children. It'll be Kelsey and myself who will be the designated greeters at the door, so they are familiar with us. And one of us, and possibly another staff person in the ECP, will be the person escorting them to the classroom. Can we pick up before lunch and drop off at around 8:30 or 9? If you are planning to drop off outside of the normal pickup time, such as 8:30 or 9 o'clock, or if you're 12:30 or whatever, if it's at a different time, we just ask that you text us via Remind or call us, and we'll make sure that somebody is there to greet your child. Okay. Are you, a lot of reading. Are you planning to buy masks for the teachers that have a clear insert which allows the children to see their mouths moving? This is incredibly important for their verbal development at their age. I couldn't agree more. I know this is one of my big concerns, and I am looking into this. Right now, we don't have those available. The staff will be using disposable masks that we are providing to them, along with lots of gloves and all the cleaning supplies we will need. If any of you out there have access to the clear masks, please let us know. But I agree, it's definitely something that I'm looking into. Do the staff have paid sick leave so they are comfortable calling out if they're unwell? Do you have plenty of substitutes? No staff will be penalized if they are not well. They do have sick time. They have paid time off that they can use. And that's always been the policy at GJC, and it will continue moving forward. And yes, we have subs, and I am anticipating that we'll have a bigger pool of subs, especially over the summer. How will camp be different? What will the daily schedule look like? And how much time will they have outside? So we're planning to spend a lot of time outside. I'm sure you've read that outdoor and open air and fresh air is the healthiest for not just keeping COVID at bay, but everything. Classrooms are going to have their own individual time on 3 different outdoor areas. We're going to have the playground, and then we are setting up 2 other spots, one in front of the building and one behind. For those of you who have been in our camp before, you're familiar with the space we have behind the building. And between each usage, any shared equipment, and this also goes for any our equipment in the canteen, will be disinfected by maintenance staff before the next classroom is allowed to use it. Let's see. If I decide not to send him for the 2 weeks, is he still able to attend camp? Absolutely. Camp and school are separate. They have nothing to do with each other. You are welcome to come and at camp at whatever time you want to start. The same is true. I think I got some emails about if you don't want to start on June 5th, you might want to start a few days later. That's fine too. We just ask you to communicate what your plan is. One question we have is whether we kept back the $300 deposit we paid for camp, since we don't feel safe to attend, for her to attend. As long as the policy is the same as it always was, within 30 days, your deposit is refundable, which would be $250 for camp, and $50 registration fee is not refundable. After the 30 days, it is not refundable. The deposit is not refundable after 30 days. If you are opting to not send your child for the 2-week time period, but you had a paid balance that was being donated, that you donated towards the COVID period of time, is that being taken into consideration? So you do have the option, if you decided to donate the unused tuition from March 13th to June 4th, if you decided to donate any or all of that, you will have the option to put that toward, to credit it towards your remaining balance. You would just have to let us know via email, and we will take care of that for you.
Just to clarify, then that portion would not be counted twice. It would be counted towards tuition, so it would be an adjustment to the amount that was donated. I also just want to interject really quickly. We were incredibly moved as a leadership, the professional leadership, the rabbinic staff, and the executive committee and the board, by the generosity of the ECP parent community. There were so many contributions that you made, and I was quelling about it to the board, and it was just such a heartening thing in this time to see that generosity from all of you who did that. So I wanted to say thank you while we're on the phone. Thank you very much for your generosity and your kindness.
There has been so much kindness that has been interjected and woven through this entire process. And I, for one, have been constantly looking for silver linings. And that is a huge one that I have seen over the past several challenging weeks. Okay, let me see. I think I might have lost my spot, so give me 1 second. Yeah, okay. If we are now saying we are not attending but paying, are we holding a spot so that in the event we change our minds, the week of 6/15, for example, our child could technically start that week? Since we're paying for daycare starting June 5th, how much notice is required to say we feel comfortable to start sending our child? You can start whenever you want. As long as you let us. I mean, if you weren't sending on June 5th, like I think I mentioned this already, you're welcome to start anytime you want, as long as you communicate with us, and we'll make sure everything's taken care of. Could we start in the middle of summer camp, or would we need to wait until September? Again, you can start in camp whenever you want. We do have a 5-week minimum for camp, and right now that is still the requirement. So absolutely, start when you want. Let's see. Will we inform parents if a student or staff member contracts COVID? There will be a notification given. We obviously cannot tell you specifically who, just like with any illness, we're not allowed to share that information for HIPAA reasons, but there will be a notification if that is the case. I did that question. And if there is some kind of threshold, okay, is there some kind of threshold or event that would trigger the school to close again, or will that just happen if the city goes back to red? Right, we will follow the guidelines given to us, just like we did before. If we are told to, if we go back in the red and we are told to close, that would be the reason we would close. Our goal is to stay open, and that is what we're going to hopefully do. All right, let's see. 2 questions we have about two questions we have about what happens with tuition for those of us who paid up front for the whole school year. Also, we are still considering whether, okay, I think I answered that already. Okay, that's the end of my questions. But I'm sure there are others, which is fine.
I don't know if we touched on the people who paid for their whole tuition up front, but we have had situations where people who did that to qualify for the discount came to us and said, we need to be reimbursed for this time, and we have provided that reimbursement for the entire time that we were closed. So if you're in the situation where you paid up front and you would like to be reimbursed for the time that you were closed, that we were closed, you just need to contact Michelle and she will connect you with our finance director.
Right.
Okay, back to Michelle.
Okay, I'm going to look at some other questions that have popped up since I started. Just give me a moment. Okay. Since a staff person meets for drop-off or pickup, what are any time limitations for running late or arriving early? Again, as I mentioned, if your schedule is, you find that you're running late or you're arriving early or whatever, if something is just out of the norm, just let us know. We'll make sure that someone's there. It might take a minute or two for us to, finagle and maneuver, but we'll be there for you. If a child becomes sick, do they need to automatically need a COVID test? No. The answer is no. I'm going to pull up the guidelines though for if let's see here. Because a child shows symptoms, all types of symptoms in all different ways. I'm not sure if that question is asking if I should ask, are you asking if that child demonstrates COVID symptoms or just in general? So if it's generally, if the child has a fever, I'm going to pull up the guidelines. I'm going to get back to that because it's a long document and I have to search for it. But I do have that, and I do have that information to share. Kelsey, are you able to look up that one while I'm answering other questions? I think I sent you the document. Yes?
I'm unable to because it's recording on my computer for YouTube, so I'm unable to leave Zoom.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
There are specific guidelines of when you would need to have your child tested. And I have that in writing, which I will be sharing with you. I just don't have it in front of me at this exact moment. And while we're on the call, I will definitely try to get that to you. 22 seems large when what I heard about Camp Keshet was smaller, but like I said, the guidelines are 22. We're not gonna, all I was saying is they're allowing up to 22 people in a space. That doesn't mean we will have 22 people in a classroom. How much contact will the kids have with their teacher? Say my child falls and is hurt, can the teacher hug him or her? Yes, that's a very good question. And I apologize if I did not address that. I did see that one come through my emails. Of course, because of the nature of our work, we're not social distancing with the children. We're changing their diapers. We're feeding them. We're helping them feed themselves. If they get hurt, we're doing our job just like we always have, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to keep loving them and giving them all the attention they deserve in the best way that we possibly can. Can we change our summer dates if we just made a deposit? Yes, you can make your changes up until June 12th. Correct, Kelsey? Yes.
That is correct. June 12th is the last day to make any changes to to reduce your camp schedule. You can always add more time, but after June 12th, you cannot reduce the schedule.
Okay, the next question is, how will kids who are new to the program be, I just lost the question. Where'd it go? There it is. How will kids who are new to the program be oriented? Do you have ideas for how to help new kids feel comfortable while their teachers are in masks? Wow. They will be oriented like they always are. We welcome them just as they are always welcomed. I think at this point, as children are noticing everybody is in masks, for our current children, our staff are introducing themselves on Zoom with their masks, and I'm sure that the teachers have creative ways of making sure that that child feels comfortable. I mean, one way, just off the top of my head, I would think of is photographs of the children, of the teachers, so they can see their faces. Can you re-explain the camp minimum of 5 weeks? Could we decide in, say, August to start sending our kids to camp if space is available without being responsible for payment in July? That's a good question. And right, if you're signed up now, we are asking for a minimum of 5 weeks. And we do that for staffing reasons and for consistency for the program. But yeah, if there's space in August and there's a few weeks left and you want to hop on, I don't believe we charge for those last, we wouldn't charge you 5 weeks, but that is accurate, right, Kels? I think that's what we've done in the past.
The way I know that it's been done in the past is that if, say, the last 3 weeks there is space available, you are welcome to come for those 3 weeks without paying the 5 week minimum. But unless you register for those 5 weeks, we cannot guarantee the schedule that you necessarily want.
Thanks, Kels. Let's see, I understand the commitment to the full year as part of the policy, but if there are multiple quarantines for a classroom over the course of a few months, and then the parents would be required to stay home for extended periods of time, would that policy continue to be enforced? Is there a minimum number of days of attendance to require full payment? A good question. I don't know if I can completely answer that question right now. Nina, do you have a say on that one?
So, this is a terrible situation for everybody to be in. I, as a parent myself, I'm dealing with that and questions about my daughter's school right now. We have a teaching staff that is dedicated and talented and committed to serving your children, and we cannot pay them unless you are paying tuition. So unfortunately, even though we may be in a situation next year where we have multiple closures, our policy is going to we are going to strictly enforce our policy that we need payment to be able to continue having your child in the program, because we can't stop and start paying our teachers. That's our reality. The leadership has been as generous as we can. I mean, I know that personally, when I've talked to other people about the decision that was made to both refund all of the tuition that was requested and still continue providing online content because we're paying our teachers, many people were shocked that was offered. We have really tried to be as generous as we can to you all, and also as supportive to our teachers as we can. But we will not survive as an organization, the business portion of our organization will not survive if we continue doing that. So we have to have you honor your tuition commitment, knowing that that may be the case next year.
Thank you, Nina. I knew you could answer that. Let's see. Will they see other teachers? And if so, what are the guidelines around that? And are you aggressively trying to prevent them from seeing each other? They may or may not see the other teachers. That is a tough question. I think once we get in the swing of things and see what our routine is and how many children are there, our goal is to not keep them secluded and not see anybody else. You know, if it was up to me, we would all be happy and seeing faces and all that, but obviously that is not the world we're living in right now. So as much as if there's opportunities for a teacher to see another child in a safe way, it is possible, but depending on how we're setting up the classrooms, especially those first 2 weeks when we're just getting started, we'll just have to see how that plays itself out. But I love to see that you all love our teachers so much. They're so awesome. I know it's going to be hard for me too, because I won't be popping into the classroom so much either. So it's hard. If we cancel for Camp Keshet, will we lose? Oh, yes, I think I answered it. I did the Camp Keshet one already. May they bring a stuffed toy from home? Absolutely, you can. You can bring your little lovey, and you can, not you, but your kids can bring their loveys, and they will have their blankets and their nap stuff, and all that's going to be the same. They're going to have their own mats. They're going to have their cubbies. They're going to have their changes of clothes. They'll have their lunch boxes. They're all going to have all that stuff. It'll go home at the end of the week, just like it does. Again, we want this to feel like their space just as it was before, as much as we possibly can. So yes, let's see. With only 2 people shuttling kids to their rooms, do you expect there to be a bottleneck? Yeah, we're hoping to not have bottlenecks. I know in one way, sometimes I'm picturing it as like this tremendously long line, which would mean that we'd have dozens and dozens of kids coming on that first day, which I don't think is going to happen. So the beginning, that is what is going to be so good for us, is that our numbers will be small and it'll help us get those routines down and see what we need to do. So if we need more than 2 people doing the drop off, then we will add to that. We will do what we need to do to make it work in a safe way.
Can I just add, I would just like everybody to know how hard Michelle has been working on problem solving for weeks. We've been in conversations with the rabbi, with Kelsey, with other staff, with our facilities director, Eric Word, and our finance director, Gloria Geisler. It's actually been months. We've been planning for this, from thinking about multiple paths forward, not knowing what the guidance was going to be and when this was all going to happen. But I have to tell you what I've been saying to Rabbi Zeff, he's my work partner. We work really closely together. The trope that I've been saying is, this is the worst situation, and I cannot imagine a better staff to be navigating this chaos with. So I just want you to know that this is confusing, and this is not in any way to invalidate your concerns. You are certainly entitled to all of your concerns. We all have them. But I can tell you with confidence, you have the best director working on your behalf and your child's behalf that I could possibly imagine, and the most incredibly caring, competent, with attention to detail teaching staff. They're so good. The cleaning and the care and the procedures. Every time I walk through the hallways and I see the teachers moving from one location to another, they're counting children. Sorry, that's my dog opening the door behind me. So they're counting kids. They're following all of the safety practices, whether they're being observed or not. So I want you to know that we're going to be running this simulation to be seeing how all of this plays out in real time. And we're going to be having continual conversations for months. Michelle and Rabbi Zeff and I just upped our weekly meetings from 1 to 2, because we know we're going to have to meet twice a week to continue talking through how this is all going, reevaluating and improving, because this is all new to us. So the best we can do is have as much attention on this and focus on this as possible. ECP is a huge priority for Germantown Jewish Center. So just know that a lot of my time as the executive director is being devoted to thinking about the issues that you're facing. So you are very, very important to us. And we will, we can do this again. We can have another Q&A in 2 weeks or in a month. We can see how it goes, but we want to hear from you. We are here to work with you and to continue serving your families.
Thank you. And the feeling is mutual. It is, wow. I never in a million years expected my job to look like this, sitting in front of a computer at little boxes of people for weeks on end. But let me just tell you, I want to piggyback for a second about our staff. I mean, I thought our staff was the best on March 13th, okay? But let me tell you something. You put preschoolers and you have preschool teachers, infant teachers that are connecting with families via computer. It seems like an oxymoron. Like, we don't want kids on the screens, right? This was our only option. So we put our amazing thinking caps on, and with the resources we have in our homes, because once we left March 13th, we were not back in that building. So whatever we had at home was what we had to share with you. And the creativity, the dedication, the drive, the professionalism, I cannot get over it. Like, the amount of ideas that have come out of this is so rich and priceless. And on top of that, the level of connection with the staff itself and the support for one another and making sure we're all keeping ourselves up has been so tremendous. And I, like what Nina said, I cannot imagine working with any other team of people. It's a dream come true to work here. And it's a horrible situation to work in, but if I had to work in a horrible situation, it would be with all of you. So that's what I want to say about that. We're all scared. I'm scared too. I mean, how can we not be scared? But we can't go on living in preschool on Zoom. So we have to somehow try to get our feet back in the water. And you should do that when you feel is best for you. But we know that there are many that have to go back to work. And we are there for you. And we will keep you as safe and healthy as we possibly can, like we always do. One more question popped up. Oh, wait, did one more? Yes, one more. Will kids be in the same classrooms for camp? I'm not at camp yet, even though, yeah, I know it's like in a few weeks. I want to make sure I get all our ducks in a row for these first 2 weeks. I know some of you have requested to have the same teacher that you had in the fall for summer. If I can arrange that, I will. I agree. I want to keep the consistency as much as I can. In some cases, I can't because some of our teachers aren't working in the summer. So, sometimes it's out of my control. But that will definitely be a goal of ours. Are there other questions? Boy, talking a lot makes me thirsty. we can unmute everybody if there's anybody that wants to say something or share something, or we can say goodbye.
I think while we're all quiet, I'll just say the last board meeting we had was very quiet. It was the quietest group of board members we've ever experienced. So it's not unsurprising that we would feel a little kind of bowled over by information. But in any case, if anybody does want to say anything, we're here for as long as you need. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, how's it going? Michelle, thank you very much, by the way, for running this session. It's really informative for all of us. I sent something to Kelsey. I'm not sure if it went through here. You know, you mentioned the outdoor spaces, which I think was fantastic. I'm curious, though, if you have more details on the day-to-day. What changes? What toys aren't there? What activities are off limits? Do we have, you know, I'm curious if you can touch on that a little bit. And thank
Sure.
you again very much for doing this.
My pleasure. If you can mute again, just so for background noise purposes. Thank you. So, wait, I think I'm still on not muted. Okay. There are certain things that we are being guided not to include in our classrooms right now. Those are things that are not easy. So those are materials that are not easily able to be disinfected. That came out right. So dress up clothes, stuffed animals in the classroom, not your loveys. The loveys are only for your one child, so that's different. Things that are typically mouthed, so like play food, sensory play. So, you know, there won't be sand tables or, you know, like the tubs of the sensory play will not be permitted right now. There will be a lot more disinfecting of toys on a regular basis. We will be having less toys on the shelves and more rotation happening so that we're able to keep clean toys out on a regular basis without having to take it off, sanitize or disinfect and then put it back and all that. The playground will be disinfected after each classroom use. I don't know the name of it. Is it like an ionic thing that our maintenance department got that is this crazy, not harmful disinfectant that is able to disinfect large areas quickly. So they'll have that. For water play outside, I know this is a big question for a lot of you for camp. There won't be tubs of water, but we'll have sprinklers set up that they'll be able to run through and get wet. And we do have a mister on the playground as well. So a lot of wetness. I hope that answers your question. Great.
I'll just add also, unfortunately, we have to close the playground to the public. So we're going to be posting a sign that says it's no longer open to the public. It'll just be available for ECP. But we are going to assume that people are breaking the rules. We're going to keep it locked, but we're going to assume that people are breaking the rules and the maintenance staff will be cleaning it before the start of every day.
Were there any other questions? Oh, wait, no.
We're really grateful to you for partnering with us because by being here, you've begun that process already. So thank you very much.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I'm saying that slowly in case there are other ones. I will say goodbye. For now, we're closed tomorrow. We have Havdalah on Monday. Oh, I know. See, now all my things are coming up now. I am going to make sure that if your child isn't there these past 2 weeks, that they're still connected. So we will have some Zooming going on for everyone to see everybody still. So if you choose not to come, you're not getting punished in any way. You will be put together. We will have some classroom group Zoom still, and also I know Rabbi Zeph is still going to figure out how to do Shabbat every Friday, albeit it will not look the way we had it in the class before March 13th. It will probably look more like Zoom, but don't worry. He will be there, puppet in hand, because I won't allow it any other way. And okay, yes, yoga and Amy Jo, yoga and music. So right now, it looks like if we do yoga and music, they would be coming into the individual classrooms. I'm not really comfortable with that yet. I want to take one step at a time. But if we were to move forward with that, we would be doing that type of thing. But the problem is then she's visiting the classrooms and it's just, yeah. So probably not right away. Not that we won't be doing music and yoga on our own, but with them. And lunches, I think I mentioned, they can still use their same lunch boxes. That's not a problem. We will not be doing any heat ups, except for if your child gets a bottle, we'll be doing, heating up bottles. But if you need something microwaved or heated up, please send it in a thermos for it to stay warm, because we will not be heating up lunches at this time. I'm sure there's other questions. I mean, there's just so much, right? I'm always an email away. And please reach out in any way that you need to. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this gave you some peace. It's really good to see so many people here at such short notice. I know it was very short notice, but I'd rather you know now than, again, it's just my head spins often throughout these days with all this information. So I really appreciate your understanding of that.
Can I ask a quick question? Yoni.
Yes, who's talking?
Yoni Reinfeld.
Hi.
Do you know how aftercare would work? Because previously we have multiple kids going into one shared room. How would it work now?
Yes, that's a very good question. And that's going to be one that I figure out once I know what our numbers are. I will communicate what our plan is once I have it.
But it will not involve grouping kids together. We had brainstormed about that a little bit and talked about just staggering the teachers' days if necessary and having teachers stay in their classrooms longer, I think. I mean, that may not be what ends up happening, but those are the kinds of things that we're thinking of so that we can stay within the guidance and still offer aftercare.
And one thing to remember is, our goal is for the teachers to stay with their kids, the same kids every day. But obviously, if a teacher is sick or they're not coming in, there'll be a sub in there. The majority of the time, obviously, will be them with their own teachers. But I just, I just have to disclose that there will be times that there will be a different face in there. Does not mean that they're not healthy or anything like that. It's just, the nature of our business.
I
can't talk to you. You have to wait. No. 3030.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we can do our Shabbat Shalom wave at the end like we do. Take care, everybody.